Hello Sports Mockery fans, my name is Aldo Soto and I'm back with the latest video on some Cubs rumors. Marcus Semien? Maybe? We'll get to it. As always, make sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube, support Sports Mockery, click on those notifications so you don't miss out on any of our breaking news coverage, more rumors of course, and also some daily gambling content. Don't forget to visit the website, sportsmockery.com, where we have all the up-to-the-minute news on the Cubs, White Sox, Bears, Bulls, and Blackhawks, and even more gambling content, all the latest promotions and contests that you can enter. Again, that is sportsmockery.com. Before we get to this Marcus Semien Cubs rumor, I just want to let you guys know that this video is brought to you by our good friends at the William Hill Sportsbook. If you want to sign up and create an account at the William Hill Sportsbook, make sure to click on the link that will be below in the description of this video. If you click on it, you can earn a $300 risk-free bet on your very first bet with William Hill Sportsbook. Again, William Hill Sportsbook, if you sign up, use the promo code MOCKERY300 and you can get a $300 risk-free bet on your very first bet. Great promotions. They have you can get a $50 bonus if Notre Dame beats Clemson in the ACC Championship game on Saturday. So make sure to click that link in the description, sign up, use the promo code MOCKERY300, and good luck on all your bets with William Hill Sportsbook. You know, speaking of gambling, putting in bets, I wonder if William Hill has any prop bets for, how much money the Cubs are going to spend this offseason. But anyways, so when I first saw this headline, and shout out to Bleacher Nation's Michael Cerami, who had a great breakdown on, if Marcus Semien can be a fit with the Cubs. But when you read, you read the context of the rumor, and it was from ESPN's Jeff Passan. He had it in his ESPN Plus article earlier in the week. And, you get excited. Obviously the Cubs haven't been rumored to be interested in a lot of big free agents the last few years. And we talked about that last week when they were connected to Jackie Bradley Jr. But, so now we got Marcus Semien. But at the same time, Jeff Passan listed 10 other teams that could, and the phrase was that these teams could find themselves in play for Marcus Semien. But I mean, he listed teams like the Angels, the Mets, the Blue Jays, Phillies, the Astros, Yankees, Giants, Angels, the Rangers, the Tigers, and then the Cubs too. But I mean, as Cub fans, this is we have to get anything we can at this point. So if you get one mention of in the future it's possible. We got to take that. So does Marcus Semien fit for the Cubs? I guess your first question you have to ask for is how much is he willing to sign? Because again, as excited as I got when the Jackie Bradley Jr. interest popped up, he's a guy who's he's probably not gonna make more than $7, $8, $9 million. Maybe in the $10 million range. But Marcus Semien, he's going to be in the $14 million, $15 million range here. Even coming off a down, 2020 season, he had an injury. The numbers were down. But we're talking about a guy who, was a top MVP candidate in 2019. Had like a ridiculous, nearly 8-WAR year in 2019 for the A's. He's still 30 years old. Right there at right at the peak of his prime. He probably still has some pretty good years left in him. Again, the 2020 season, for most of these guys who have established track records, I just can't take what happened in a 60-game sample size and be like, yep, nope, that's it, he regressed, or that's what he is. And I mean, with Marcus Semien, started his career with the White Sox, got traded in that deal that involved Jeff Samardzija back in 2015, right before the 2015 season. And he's been fine. He's an all right player. An interesting thing that I saw in the Fangraphs, they rank right at the start of free agency. They rank all the top free agents. They predict. They try to estimate what their contracts can be. And for Marcus Semien, he was pretty high on Fangraphs. I think he was in top 5 for them. But in the player notes, they talked about how his defensive metrics actually show that he's been really, really good as a defensive shortstop. But it also mentions, how, it doesn't really line up with the whole eye test, the scouts who see him, all the baseball observers, whatever, their opinions of him. And that kind of matches with the reputation that I had too, because I remember always he can he can kind of hit good, he can hit well, but the defense might be shaky. But I mean, the defensive metrics say the opposite. Say he's really damn good, and that kind of plays into the WAR too. Because besides that ridiculous year that he had in 2019, he's had the seasons of a 3 WAR year, above 2 a few times, and that defensive value definitely plays in there at a premium defensive position, which is shortstop. And it helps because overall in his career, as a hitter, he's been fine. Slightly, if you look at his, his runs created, it's right below league average, hovering around 96, 97, 98. League average is at 100. But I mean, he's fine. He's been a fine hitter. Besides that 2019 when he was ridiculous. But, guy who's not going to strike out a lot. Beginning of his career, he was, in the 22-25% range. But since 2018, it's been below that. Besides, again, 2020, when he played 53 games, it was back up to 22%. But you're getting a fine player. Now, for the Cubs, what does it mean? Let's say they are interested here. What does it mean for a guy like Javier Baez? What does it mean for what they think of Nico Hoerner? Could Marcus Semien be the eventual replacement at third base if Chris Bryant walks in free agency, or if the Cubs end up trading Chris Bryant? This is why it's interesting, because Semien fits in the short term for 2021 as well as the long term, because there's that huge free agent class next year where you have Baez, you have Lindor, Seager, Correa, Story, I think too. Just top tier class of free agent shortstops. Are the Cubs, are they saving up for that, or are they thinking, hey, we got a guy coming off a down year, obviously every team is going to use the COVID-19 and the loss of revenues as an excuse to not want to pay top free agents big money. So are the Cubs one of those teams going to be hey, we can get a solid player here, we know what he is, he can still give us a 3 WAR year for a couple years, sign him to a 3-4 year deal on a bargain? Or you can get a guy who wants to bet on himself, be hey, screw this, I'll sign for 1 year, I'm gonna bet on myself, hopefully all this mess gets cleared up, all the money BS with the owners and the league gets cleared up, and next year I'll cash in next year. He's still gonna be 31 next year, he still can get a decent 4 to 5 year deal. Maybe you get that situation. In terms of how he fits with the current club, the Cubs don't seem right now. They don't seem all that confident that Nico Hoerner is the answer right now at second base. There's been talk about the Cubs maybe giving him some looks in center. There's been talk. This is mostly Twitter talk amongst fans. Should Hoerner start the year at AAA, get more season, and continue that development? Because again, we're talking about a guy who was rushed up at the end of 2019 when the Cubs had all those injuries at shortstop, and he did a great job filling in. But we saw the flaws. We saw the flaws at the end of 2019. We saw the flaws in 2020 at the plate. Just not a lot of hard contact coming from him, and we saw the struggles offensively. Defensively, he was great. He was rated as one of the best. Again, short sample size, small sample size, but in the time that he was up and playing second base, he was one of the best defensive second basemen, one of the best defensive infielders in baseball in 2020. But the bat just kind of behind now. And again, we're talking about a guy who didn't play a lot in the minors. He had that injury in 2019 that cost him some time. So we're talking about a guy who was rushed, didn't get a lot of development. Maybe he's just not ready yet to be an everyday starter or split the time at second base yet. So you can get Semien there, and you can just slide him at second base and be like, all right, come with us 1 year. We'll give you like $12-13 million. Bet on yourself. Kill it, and then go off and sign a big deal afterwards. Or they look at their situation and they go, you know what? We don't think that we can re-sign Chris Bryant, so maybe we can get Semien now, get him on a 3-4 year deal. If Bryant leaves, we have his replacement right now. So you don't have to fall back on, barely replacement level David Bodie as your future third baseman for the Cubs. You get a guy who good defensively, a good run, just a solid overall player. Average hitter, but solid defensively, solid everything else. Maybe you get him, or maybe they look at shortstop. They look at Baez and be like, Baez also is going to be a free agent after 2021. And they're like, we don't think we are going to re-sign Baez. We can get Semien in now. He can play second base in 2021. And then when Baez leaves, then we slide Semien back at shortstop. So yeah, when you look at it, it works short term, then it works long term. Talking about 3-4 years here in terms of long term for baseball. But it's interesting because I guess it just goes to show you that there's just a whole bunch of question marks for the Cubs in their infield. We talked about it a couple years ago, like, they're going to be set for years. And now we're on the verge of 2021, where they could have not just one, but two of their stars leave in free agency. I don't know the likelihood of that. I do think they're going to either keep one of two. Hopefully, do keep one of two of Baez or Bryant. But even if the other one goes, Semien does fit in on that roster and in that lineup. But this is going to sound naive, and it's a complete 180 from where I've been the past few years in terms of the Cubs and free agency. But I'm getting at least a little excited that they're being brought up by. This rumor was kind of like on the low level here. Again, the Cubs are like one of 11 teams who might possibly be in play for Marcus Semien. But hey, it's nice to see the Cubs, be talked about and be linked to a good player, good solid player. You're getting Marcus Semien again. Just like Jackie Bradley Jr., high floor. Maybe the ceiling is there. Maybe he does crack that ceiling. Again, 2019, some guys develop late. It just clicks one day. In Fangraphs, I think Craig Edwards wrote the profile on the short blurb on Semien. He said, 2020, he had like a terrible first 2 weeks, but then, he looked like he was coming back great and looking like the hitter that he was in 2019. Semien had a great postseason run with the A's too. I don't know. I have my doubts though on how much money the Cubs are actually going to spend. I think if they do sign a guy, it's going to be an outfielder. But hey, it's something to keep your mind on. And again, definitely check out Michael Cerami's breakdown on how Semien could fit on the Cubs. He did a great job there. But let us know your thoughts. Should the Cubs entertain a Marcus Semien either on a 1 year prove-it deal for him, just get him in, and the Cubs can stay competitive in 2021? Do you want Marcus Semien on a multi-year deal, on a 3, 4, 5 year deal? He's going to be one of your main guys in the infield for the next 4 to 5 years. Do you want that? Do you want the Cubs to focus on just getting a good outfield bat? Because again, as a reminder, the Cubs only have 2 outfielders right now in the 40-man roster, Ian Happ and Jason Hayward. They're obviously going to sign an outfielder, but we just don't know the caliber of player that they're signing yet. But again, the recent rumors, they've been linked to Jackie Bradley Jr., and now loosely linked to Marcus Semien. Let us know the direction that you want the Cubs to take. Does Semien interest you? Do you want, out of the two, Jackie Bradley Jr. or Marcus Semien? Who do you want? Let us know. Once again, this video is brought to you by the William Hill Sportsbook. Download the William Hill Sportsbook betting app for Illinois. Click on the link in the description to sign up using the promo code Mockery300. And if you click on the link, you can claim your $300 risk-free bet. My name is Aldo Soto, and until next time, have a good one.